Yeah, moment of truth and natural wisdom. Yeah. Now we're dealing with the 14th element on the periodic table, and that is silicon. Yeah, silicon is a semiconductor. Is what I'm trying to say. Right now, and I'm trying to keep it straight as it is. Silicon is, today's electronics. We cannot do electronics, or we cannot live today without the 14th element. That is silicon. Now, basically, a chip in your phone is silicon. But where do we actually get it from? It's as a semiconductor. Semiconductor. Semi means it's like half. You see what I'm trying to say? As a semiconductor. Semiconductor, both electrically and thermally. Thermal has to do with temperature, and that goes with electricity. So I'm trying to say. But then, naturally, most of the things that we see, especially most of our electronics has black already, were designed as black or have dark color. So I'm trying to say, not all of them are carbon. A lot of other components are also part of it. You see what I'm trying to say? Now, conductivity, in terms of conductivity, not all of them are going to be in the form of copper and all of that, on that kind of things. I know copper is the most, on top of the conductors. Yeah, electrical conductor, copper. So that we're talking about copper wires and all of that. But then dealing with silicon, this is what it is. Silicon is it's a dark gray, and it's coming from rocks. I'm trying to keep this very short. Silicon is dark gray. It's look dark and gray, and then it's coming from rocks. In Ghana, we have something called it's a form of rock. Immediately you put it in water, it begins to melt. But as it is melting, you observe it from far. It looks it's like shiny as a silver. It's very shiny as a silver. And this is Yomo. Yomo yɛde etwi ahemafo no. Yɛde etwi wɔ mu ti a na wɔ mu tiri ho ayɛ shiny no. Ɛde no yɛ dark, but ahemafo no de polish wɔ mu tiri a na ama wɔ mu ti na yɛ shiny awia bɔ no mo na awia no wɔtumi sɛ ne ti no asɛ ne ti na ɛte shining. Ne tiri ho te shining, but ade na wɔ ne ti ho no yɛ black. The shiny part of it, is what we are talking about as silicon. The shiny part, are hide in the middle of the black, Ti yomo e yabo kane tete ne yomo na yekutu yomo ewo hen. Yomo yede ka hemanfo ne ti no ewo Ghana no is full of silicon, and all the rocks, especially, they got their sediments through the deposition of the waters that we have, the rivers and all of that. That is why we find a lot of minerals around the water bodies, around our rivers, around the sea. That is where we get a lot of minerals. So I'm trying to say, but this silicon, the best source of getting silicon is ukoto yomo yɛde kan yitiri ɛwɔ Ghana ma yitiri. Onse yomo no yɛ rock, obeto oboayam ama nafe na wodi nsu afra. Ade na asa eyitum eno nso asa ete shining. That is how a semiconductor looks like. The semiconductor in silicon is the typical, a perfect example. Semuni yomo, you need to be privileged to know this. Yomo ehona unya we see free. And it's a semiconductor. Talking about the properties, it's a semiconductor. And semiconductor, both electrically and thermal. Thermal is temperature, and this is electricity. But without temperature and electricity also goes together. So it's a semiconductor, silicon and a boron. Now, what do we use silicon for? We use silicon for your cylinder heads. cylinder in engines. In every engine has a cylinder. We have a cylinder engine. I'm talking about your piston engines and the engines that you have in your car. Every engine has a cylinder. That is why when you go to the mechanic shop, they will ask you your car no how many cylinders? 4 and 6. Most of the time no car no dey 4 and 6. What do you say? Nti uko fitting shop or fitter ne bebusa say wo car no cylinders ne say or cylinder head no is made up of silicon because it's a semiconductor both thermally and electrically. It is not able to heat up and the probability of expansion and so less. Is what I'm trying to say. In heating also is able to contain high level of temperature. Nti ya na nanoma hema afo na omode yomo ye wo muti na omunim nyansa pa utwa na yi bi no de yomo ye niti o kasa otimu se nyansa wom. What do you say? Oh yeah, you started practice science and sana ye tro science wo book mo. What do you say? Yeah. All right. Now, your cylinder heads in your engine is full of silicon. Transformer plates. You see, I'm talking about the ability of the silicon to contain high level of temperature and a pressure. That is why it is suitable for making transformer plates. Your transformer, what is a transformer? We will deal transformer as we get into deep electricals. Now we will deal with transformer. Transformer plates is full of silicon. Is what I'm trying to say. Computer memory chip. You get your computer memory chip. Computer be our adwene that computer ni trim no memory chip. Memory chip on that computer no itrim na computer no timi timi boama computer no itimi run without the memory chip no your computer does not run. So I'm trying to say your computer, you say your memory is 512, your memory chip is 128, it moves in 128, 512, and then it's going on 2 gigabyte, 4 gigabyte, 8 gigabyte here and there. Your memory chip on your computer not general, is full of integrated circuits. We call something IC. IC is an integrated circuit. IC is an integrated circuit. I put it here. Integrated circuits is full of silicon because it's a semiconductor. And then your chip that you put in your phone is in the form of an integrated circuit. Or chip with the two phone na a receive signal. I'm a MTN. A receive signal. I'm a Tigo. Or phone it to me to assume, but now a chip on the and say. You see what I'm talking about? Because it is not ready to react with anything. Reactivity is there, but the possibility of causing damage, is low. And into a chip where DBA and then say, or phone, or phone, you have so many phones already dead. What phone the okay nipa nka wasi phones will be brave, what phones be brave atogo. But your chip no, ultimate koto is a auto iPhone, Auto iPhone deɛ na ba 11 and as say na okoto iPhone 11 as say and na auto twene also mpebio ba wo chip no deɛ wo chip no free phone no na de koto phone for so nti wo chip deɛ very strong, is full of an integrated circuit coming from the mother of the integrated circuits is coming from a silicon. So I'm trying to say, and you use it for diodes. Diodes are rectifiers. We deal more about electricity. So silicon being the 14th element, is I'm gonna show you the reaction between silicon and aluminum. You see what I'm trying to say? If you use it for switches or switcher or light switches, it will feel is full of silicon. And into the intra silicon in the form of light switches, no say. And no thermal conductivity no honey ho. Once I dear be a honey you, what Driana will be dear. Adriana she be bra, one belro. Adriana be bra unfeely. Into honey ho. Prior tenting, prior teacher, prior honey ho. So I'm trying to say. Now, a honey ho, and into the electrical switcher is safe. In Emma ija into fio, in prenipa, and also Emma power non cut it down. enti your friend a semiconductor. You see what I'm trying to say? Now, your rectifiers, is directly used to channel. Our everybody has a form of diode in their house. Electricity wires na igu abonten na igu pole no so air coding is carrying AC current, or is in the form of alternating current. As soon as you generate electricity from Akosombo Dam, na pick it up na enam wire na so kwa in the form of alternating current. So I'm trying to say. By getting into your house, at some point, you need to direct the current so that it stays coming to your meter near the control or transformer near the will be an area be our transformer. Any making sure say area honum no maintain a stable power to be set a secondary primary receive it be a 5 na ama secondary it be a 20. What you say? Depending on the number of coils around the semiconductor, and the semiconductor is in the form of silicon. Most of the time, we use aluminium. My member we say in gel. We share fine. We a yibia me tutu. We a yibia me tutu. We share idea we say na we need to check one. This type of plate, is a semiconductor. We say this type of plate in one a semiconductor. We need aluminium, we need copper coils, or we call it inductive coils. You see what I'm trying to say? Now, your switches. Into also switching light, electrical current now. Electrical, this is a switch. What do you say? Say osha where se oshe o light na electricity na wufi ona ano odin pa, but also switch ni ma enshoke wo. What you say? By the same time no switch ni so na e control light no wudum na enum oso a enso. Switch ni bi kura no eboa ma ye channel light no free baby ko baby eboa ma ye channel source so some current be free baby e ko baby the koyadwuma in the same house. Eboa ma ye convert light be a any straight blinke no to the boy also light na AC no not just our power near on and off. What you say? A boy with the help of rectifiers in the form of diodes, you are able to straight up now feel current near the so now light in so straight. That is direct current. Tina what the battery a share or torch one so that is a direct current. Battery be a direct current. You see what I'm trying to say? So silicon, that is what it is. It's a semiconductor. It's dark gray. Most abundantly, you get it from the rocks in the earth. And a typical example is Yomo. They can eat tree. Emera for no, they can womuti or Ghana na ahema for no. Nani ti hon teshan. Adene black. But intina wati bedroom. Na ewiane boni nani tree ne teshan and sa usi wa heme de chali kui. What you say? That is what it is. And I love you. And a computer memory is full of integrated circuits, front and back. Integrated circuits is alternating. I said dame be also a computer memory chip is full of silicon. That is why we use to produce integrated circuits. You see what I'm trying to say? And your switches and your cylinder heads oko fitemoa. Now engine overhaul. Now we engine be so abunso or the screwdriver na be engine cylinder head na go. In the engine cylinder head, no, the innermost part, the innermost part of the engine cylinder head, silicon. It is the engine car if a fire it just said you are able to is able to sustain for so many years. Because cylinder head, I say a nipa be our pumpem no a ho make a cry. Into one person horn by a ding be. What do I say? That is how that is the concept here. They manufacture the engine cylinders. So I'm trying to say. So that is it for silicon. I love you all. This is the moment of truth and natural wisdom. We will talk more about all the elements and then we'll move on to the next steps. We will categorize them into as to be based on the uses. We will categorize all of them. I want to make this more fancy for the brothers out there. So I'm trying to say, it should be fancy. We elements we need soon and be a say then. Offer our torch, we am a torch, the elements see no offer our battery, elements see no. And then once you know how to extract them, if it be how they go away, na ebi corner ebiaka, ebi or how the ensue be fra. Most of the reaction is taking place in the presence of moisture or water. So I'm trying to say, even the breaking down of rocks, hydrolysis, and all of that, it has to deal with the availability of moisture or water. So I'm trying to say. So we will talk about all of that. I love you all. This is the moment of truth and natural wisdom. Yeah.